Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. This is 17 and some change. I'm EcuDes17, here to bring you my 2 cents. Well, I am glad to have y'all here listening to me once again. And today we're mainly going to talk a little bit about motorcycles. Um, I figured it would be a decent time to um I have a couple thousand miles under my proverbial belt, uh so to speak, at this point. And so I figured that I can talk about that, talk about uh what it's been like as a beginner rider, you know. Um And before I get into that, I just kind of want to touch, first and foremost, just to get it kind of out of the way and to say I did my due diligence. I should have brought up this topic last week because this topic was the number one trending, number one searched for topic in all of Google. And it was Jeffrey Epstein. And yeah, I wanted to kind of just briefly put my 2 cents in, because that's the name of my show and that's kind of what I do. And also because, like, um, just for the record, it smells like fish. So I kind of wanted to say something um, when I smell fish. But yeah, the idea that, he didn't. Um, the idea that we don't have a client list and that he did do himself, it doesn't add up. It just but like, I don't even care. Like, at this point, I mean, I care. It's the frustrating part is, like, who were the people, who were the customers? And I think I've said this like a handful of episodes back. Like, you talk about the client list, like, who bought these humans? Like, who was it? And I mean, the only thing I could think of is that the people implicated on the list, it's not the power of a handful of them. It's the fact that the people are is it is represent all of Hollywood. Um, it's the idea that, okay, so if the names are just random names of, like, rich people that nobody knows, then that's fine. Um, if we haven't found out who the customers were, that's preposterous. The only thing that I could think is that the list of names is contains pretty much the entirety of every celebrity that one could think of, essentially. Like, all the top biggest names, like and I'm not gonna say any names, but um, if it was a list of random rich people, then we would have been able to get it. If it was a list that had implicated two or three super duper recognizable and powerful names, then maybe it still comes out. The only thing that I can think is that this list is so inclusive. Like, it has so many big names that, like, it, like society couldn't even look at themselves the same anymore. Like, everybody would just be throwing up like all over the place, like, because it's everybody. Like, um and so I don't know. All I know is that I want the list of names of customers, or that's what I can speak on the behalf of many. At least that's what, um that's what's being asked for in regards to that. um you know Not being able to release a client list is giving negative implications to the Trump administration, um, which is, and it was spiraling in that direction, which is partly why, um, he ordered the grand jury to release the Epstein records, which I don't think that's gonna have what we're looking for inside of it either. And now he's doing this big thing about Obama, trying to say, oh, huge, big, bad things Obama was doing with Russiagate and spying and collusion, and ooh, we might actually go after him. We caught him red-handed, and like, um, I don't think this stuff would be coming up at this time if it wasn't for the Epstein stuff, you know. Um, but who knows? Who knows if and when we'll ever find out, um, who bought children from Jeffrey Epstein. You know, um, Chat GPT just recently came out with an agent mode. I've been messing with it a little bit. It just became available, like, randomly, um, yesterday on my cell phone, not on the computer yet. But I've been waiting a while for that. Um, so I've been messing with it. I asked it if it could change something for me on a Squarespace website. Um, it couldn't. Squarespace does not allow access to AI agents, but it did walk me through how to do it myself, and it was actually relatively simple but complex at the same time. It's not something that I don't think the lame person would have figured out, without, AI and stuff like that. But it couldn't do that. And then I sent it a PDF, um, of one of my books. It was a PDF of my second book, and I wanted because I am trying to reformat it. I'm trying to repackage it and re-release it, um, making it a little bit more clean. Um, and it tried. It was fascinating to watch the attempts. It's fascinating to watch them open up another browser and start doing work on its own browser. Like that's really cool to see. Um, but it took 23 minutes on the first attempt, and it didn't do what I wanted it to do. It made some minor changes, but nothing substantial. Um, I gave it a few different prompts, maybe half a dozen different prompts. Tried messing with it. At one point, it worked. It thought for it worked on the problem for 50 something minutes. Um, and it got the table of contents looking pretty good, but not perfect, and nothing else in the book was good. It failed. It took an hour and 45 minutes altogether and half a dozen prompts, and it failed what I the mission, what I wanted it to do. Um, So, it's the first iteration and stuff like that. I think they wanted to get Chat GPT agent. I think they wanted to get the agent mode in version 4. Um, and to roll it out into 4 to see how it works a little bit, to kind of mess with it and see what bugs exist and how um, user friendly it is, so that because 5 is going to come with it standard, and 5 is going to be great because 5 isn't going to necessarily make the user switch modes depending on tasks. 5, from what I hear, is supposed to have all AI capabilities integrated into onto its face. So that should be pretty cool. You don't have to go back and forth. It'll all image generating to code generating to agent functions to LMI or LMM functions, and so that should be cool. That should be cool. If these agents start getting better and stuff like that, I mean, everything's getting better. Everything in AI is getting better. So I don't know. I don't know. Um, but let me kind of get into some of these questions here, because we'll talk about the motorcycle thing. Um, the I did once again, like I typically do. I had Chat GPT generate a handful of questions. I'm gonna go over them, go over my answers, kind of what I said, um, and stuff like that. So, um, question one I skipped, and so question two said, um, do you think someone with 2,000 miles of riding experience is ready for group rides, highway trips, or should they still be solo and local? Why? Um, I, I feel like I can't speak to anybody with like that much riding time, but I feel like if I wanted to go for a group ride, I would be pretty much uh skill wise capable of doing so. Um, but I never really, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Um, you gotta stay in formation and stuff like that, and I'm sure there's just like patterns to you need to like recognize and stuff like that that you don't typically see on a solo ride. I never really had interest in group rides anyways. I didn't buy a bike to have group rides. I bought a bike so that I could ride solo and check out different cities from a different perspective. Um, yeah, that's why I did it. Though I was thinking the other day that I would I am comfortable enough on a bike now that I would be able to ride with a partner near me and not have that bother me. Where I wouldn't worry about like matching speeds or like crossing ankles or anything like that because I'm that comfortable now. Um, and highways, I don't really on a 400. I don't really like going. Um, I'll do highways. I'll do 2, 3 lane highways, but like I don't really like going more than 70 and shit on a 400. Um, so I mean, my sweet zone, I like between like 35 to like 55 on a motorcycle feels really nice. Um, What surprised you the most about motorcycle culture or the riding experience compared to what you imagined before owning a bike? The fact that they all kind of like wave at each other or whatever, they all do like this peace down type shit. And I guess it's you 2 wheels down, 2 wheels like keep 2 wheels on the ground, like be safe type shit. And so I thought that was pretty cool. Like you ride around and then you just see bikers kind of. I didn't notice it when I wasn't a biker, but like my first freaking day. The first freaking day on the road, everybody's fucking doing peace out to me. Fucking like everybody's doing peace out, and I'm like, what the hell? Why is everybody peace out? Is it like? And I guess that's just what bikers do, and I thought that was pretty cool. Um, and so, but as far as culture or whatever, I don't really have much thoughts on that. Like I said, I kind of do my own thing. Um, what's a moment you've had on the bike, good or bad, that made you feel something deeply? Could doesn't have to be dramatic. Could be peaceful, scary, freeing. I thought it said freezing, comma, whatever. I said all the above. Um, it's certainly a wake me up um type of vehicle. Um, I mean, from anticipation to nervousness to excitement and caution and dread and cold and warm and hot and content and frustrated and free. You really do get the whole spectrum of emotions as a certainly as a beginner rider, for sure. Um, and then it says if someone asks you whether getting a motorcycle changed who you are in any way, how would you respond? I said it gave me something fun to do in the summers. It gave me another coping technique, um, or mechanism. It can be a substitute for a workout at times. Um, it another thing it did was provide me with just one more example of accomplishment. I I work one of the clinicians that I work closely with is always talking about self efficacy. And what that is the belief in oneself to accomplish a goal or to handle obstacles that might come in your way. Um, and I've always believed that the best way to improve self efficacy is by highlighting your previous successes and by choosing uh, bites, bite-sized missions to tackle. Um, and then you look back, and then you have things you can look back at and and remind yourself of your competency. What advice would you give to someone who's just bought their first bike but is feeling overwhelmed or unsure about riding it? Um, that's funny. I do remember being wicked nervous. Like I thought I kept thinking like and I kept watching like YouTube videos on like how to ride a bike and stuff like that, how to ride a motorcycle. Um and like because I don't know if you guys are aware, but you don't need to do a driving test. If you pass a rider safety course that teaches you how to ride a motorcycle, they'll sign off and you can bypass the motorcycle instruction, the driving test. I thought that was really freaking cool because when I took driving lessons for a car, that didn't allow me to bypass any sort of test, right? But the fact that I could bypass the motorcycle test, because I took a 2 day course, that shows you like on live bikes how to ride and stuff like that. How to ride. I mean, you're in a parking lot and you just go first gear, second gear, and you do like circles and like little ins and outs and stuff like that. It teaches you how to maneuver, like it teaches you how to start riding. It teaches you how to like go, and but I remember thinking I remember being so nervous that I was gonna forget how to ride a motorcycle from the time that that class ended to the time that I actually bought a bike and had it dropped off. And it was a couple months, and I didn't forget how to ride, but I almost did. I was pretty freaking nervous, and but um, what I did was I went to a empty spot that was like really close to me. I recommend a parking lot or a cemetery. And, if you're in the cemetery, at least if anything goes wrong, you're already kind of where you need to be. Um, I'm, that was a joke. Um, but yeah, nah, just like take your time, like just find a place, like find an empty spot and just get used to going first gear, second gear, third gear, downshift, downshift. Get used to, you know, turning and braking and stuff like that, or get used to it or get reacclimated to it after your class. I highly recommend using those classes. Those classes are great and they go step by step by step. You will be nervous, but everybody passes. Everybody will pass. You'll be fine. Um, what kind of rider do you think you are today, and what kind of rider do you hope to be 5 years from now? I didn't answer the second part. I can answer it now. Um, for the first part, I said I would describe myself as a cautious, defensive, casual hobby rider who occasionally, once in a blue moon, will go a little fast in a straight line just to get that extra wee. Wee! Um, But yeah, like every once in a while, I'll go vroom and just go like really freaking fast, like in a straight line or whatever. But for the most part, like I just try to chill. Like I just try to ride like a nice steady pace. Like I said, 35 to 55. Like I like the twisties. I like, near the beach. I like, you know, like main roads, non-congested spots. Just like I like city riding and stuff like that. Even two-lane highways are cool. Those like mini highways or whatever. Um, but in 5 years, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna be like as a rider in 5 years. In 5 years, I'll be 40 years old. So I have no idea what implications those hold. I have no idea like how the what kind of psychological switch I'm gonna undergo between 39 and 40. Between because at 39 you're still in your 30s, but then when you hit 40, you just hit 40. And so I don't know. Like I said, I ride a sports bike, a Kawasaki, and like I don't know if that's still gonna even be my vibe in 5 years. I really don't. You know, um, I don't really see myself as somebody who rides a cruiser. But maybe I'll get something a little bit. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. 5 years is 40 years old. Holy moly. Um, It says, do you ever feel judged by car drivers when you're on the bike? And if so, how do you deal with that feeling, if at all? I do notice a lot of eyes on me when I'm on a motorcycle. Um, some of them look like admiration, some of them almost look like disgust, but uh, one thing I do have to say though is like, and I'm glad this is one of the questions that was generated because I've been thinking about this uh, a little bit here and there. This is a thought that's come up here and there for me. Because people always tell me when they see me with a helmet, they always tell me like, "Oh, be safe out there. Like everybody's crazy. Like nobody pays attention. Everybody's on their phones. Nobody's a good driver. Everybody's just gonna smash you and crash you and hit you from behind and just boom." And and I kind of I've really knock on wood and praise my lucky stars or whatever, but I've noticed quite the opposite. I've noticed that when I'm on a motorcycle, people kind of stay away from me like the plague. People give me way more space. People are way more hesitant to cut me off. People see me um, all the time, and maybe it's because I'm always thinking that they're not going to see me. Like because that's one thing you learn. You learn that on a bike you're a lot smaller. People don't expect like bikes on the road as much as they expect cars. You're kind of more of an anomaly. People can just miss you. But like people don't miss me. Like every time I think like, oh, this guy's definitely gonna cut me off. He definitely doesn't see me. No, no, they see me. They hear me. They see me. And dude, I've noticed drivers are so much more aggressive around me when I'm in a car. Like they'll cut me off. They'll fucking in a car. They're dildos. But when I'm in a bike, it's like a lot a lot better. They give me a lot more space and a lot more respect. Now, does that mean I don't check my rearview mirror every single freaking red light that I stop at to make sure nobody's careening behind me at 80 about to just take out my entire freaking existence? No, I definitely I keep my eyes in that rearview mirror when I stop at red lights, but just generally speaking, I've noticed way more caution from the drivers around me when I'm on a bike. If you could design the perfect motorcycle for your personality and riding style, what would it look like? Well, I mean, bought the bike that I bought a bike that I was really attracted to. Like, I bought a bike that spoke to me aesthetically. I got a Kawasaki, and it's nice. Like I like it. Like I like how those sport bikes like move. Like I've always liked how sports bikes move. Like that's always how what I've envisioned a motorcycle to be. Since since then, like, and yeah, you got the Harleys, and since then I've realized that there's like more styles of bikes and stuff like that. But no, like that those sports bikes. That's how I like how they move. That's how I've always thought a bike should move. And then it says, do you ever feel different when you take off the helmet and walk around after a ride, like a shift in mood or mindset? I said yeah, of course, absolutely. I mean, I feel it in my legs first. Um, Not so much anymore, but like, the first few 100 miles, like every time I would get off a bike and start walking, I would feel different. Like, um, but I mean, you were just in a situation where the wind is blowing on you and stuff like that, and it's just sensory input. It's just different sensory input. So when you go into a shower, you're gonna feel different upon exit than you did when you went in, right? It's just a change in sensory stuff, and that's a lot of times the reason why people jump on bikes. And so this is going to be the last question, y'all. I know this one ran relatively short, especially compared to my last few episodes. I did want to briefly apologize for my last episode, though I was at one point telling myself, it's silly to apologize. Um, it was the last episode was on gender. It was very difficult for me to speak freely and get to the point a lot of times because I was over debating with myself. Um, and I also just I didn't want to, quite frankly, I didn't want to offend people. Like I don't want to offend people. I don't want to be divisive. I don't want to hurt feelings, and I don't want to lose everything before I even obtained it. And I mean, not that I'm not the type to, stand on a hill to die on a hill, but it's not. there's no hill that I'm willing to die on right now. Like, not that one, not that one, not now. Um, and so I was super cautious with my words. Um, but anyways, the last question in regards to motorcycle riding, it says, huh, go figure. It says, what would you say to your past self the day before you ever got on a motorcycle for the first time? And I think I answered a similar question a few episodes ago when it asked me about narcissism. It said, what would you say to your past self who had dealt with certain narcissists or whatever? And it's the same. Like, I hesitate because I think of the butterfly effect, and it's like, why tinker with something that you know ended out surviving? Like, you know, it ended up coming out on the other side, so you know that it could get done, it can get through. So why tell your former self that you're gonna be okay? Like, I'm from the future, you're gonna be okay if you ride this motorcycle, it's okay, don't worry. And then they go out and they're not worried and they get hit by a fucking semi. And no, no, you know what I mean? You know you made it, so why even say shit? Why even say anything to your past self? You know, so butterfly effect, and just leave your past self alone, the hell. Be your present self and shit like that. And so on that note, I am glad you guys exist. I'm glad you came here. I'm glad you're alive. Um, you know, keep being keep being you, keep being awesome. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And come back next Wednesday for some more, okay? Goodbye.